what you're going to say to open a stream, but it becomes significantly easier when you just open the stream by saying completely random things. And that is why skunks are actually made out of cheddar. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to Leeds 101, in which we educate our favourite Canadian all about Leeds United and things like that. And let's be honest, that's the gist of the stream, but we sort of get lost along the way every single time, which is kind of the fun part. How are we doing? How are we doing today?
Today is a great day, man. Today, this whole week's been really good. My least favorite team in the NFL lost in the Super Bowl, so we're celebrating all week. It's wonderful. Although I don't like the Eagles either, but it's fine. We'll let them win one.
Yeah, I mean, at least we're in a position where like they were both kind of awful, but the one that is more awful, they're the one that lost. So
they were down 34-0 at one point, which I loved. I was like, how could we not have done this last year? Like, where was this team when we played them in the Super Bowl last year? I don't understand.
Controversial opinion. Maybe we just weren't good enough to do that to them last
year. This is true.
Maybe there's a reason that the 49ers got absolutely pummeled. But on the note of being absolutely pummeled, Leeds United beat Watford senseless last night. It was ridiculous. And it's something that we keep doing week on week on week. And as far as I can tell, you couldn't watch the majority of the match.
No, I was in the trenches.
I was equally in the trenches, but I was significantly more like, I've just got the match on my second monitor, and because Real Madrid versus Man City at the time wasn't being super interesting. It was only after the Leeds match ended that was like of interest. So I was like, brilliant. Okay, the more exciting match, I can just pay attention to at any given moment. But ended up winning 4-0 with Dan James doing the good thing again with, I think, 2 goals. I don't know if he got an assist or not, but he's keeping doing his thing. You know how to pick him, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Well, I mean, now I do. I didn't used to know how to pick my men, but now I do. I've learned a thing or two.
Is that how we're phrasing it? You're just calling dibs on Dan James from now on, just being like, no, actually, I'm adding Welsh to the Italian and Canadian, and then we're going to go down that route.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a name that would work for someone that is Italian and Welsh and Canadian, but I don't think that exists. I think that's a little bit too complicated.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a mutt. That's just a mix, you know.
Yeah, that's a mutt. At that point, you just default to the simplest name that you possibly get. That's where you get Dan James. That's where right. Screw it. 2 first names, Dan James. There we go.
And normally we don't like that, but we like it with him.
I do have an ongoing conspiracy theory that 2 first names makes a bad person. Like, no, hear me out. Hear me out.
Yeah, please go into this.
All I have to do is talk former UK Prime Ministers. David Cameron was an absolute dick and led to the defunding of, like, everything. Followed by Theresa May. 2 first names. Took us out of the European Union. And everything went very, very wrong during her time in power. Then, who followed May? Then, I'm going to use this as a technicality, Boris Johnson.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the theory's following here.
Kind of works,
And admittedly, doesn't work for Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak. But for 3 out of the 5, every one of them that's had 2 first names, bit of a dick. Yeah. So I think that theory's running, and the only person that's like actively breaking that for me is Dan James. So maybe
a hero.
Maybe he's a magician. He's managed to just break everything. I'm gonna have a quick dive through the chat. As always, the chat is essentially the third person in the StreamYard because things go. Sometimes things go a little bit silly from time to time. Afternoon, Joe and Crystal, still buzzing from last night. Leeds the Leeds. Thank you very much, Michael Isles. I am also doing the same. It was one of those matches where I was like, do we do 7? I think we score 7 again. We didn't score 7, but it's okay. This was me when I thought we'd be a little bit late, and we still were a little bit late, but we weren't too late. It's okay.
This is my fault. It's the female's fault always.
Don't go saying that around this channel. I'm trying to be a good ally. Don't run, Joe, just walk. Well, now I want to run places. I don't know why. I don't know why I wouldn't be running, but I like a run. Screw it. I was doing a lot of that at 7-a-side this week, and I scored. Yes.
Amazing.
It was
Wow.
right. Fun fact: there's been 7 or 8 times where the ball's been crossed to me with an open goal, and I've missed this season. And this is the first time I've actually scored that chance. And it's
Redemption. This is nice.
yes, pulling it back. Interesting that you've not got a hat on. It is very interesting that.
Because I did my hair nicely today. I had to show it off. This
That's fair
doesn't
enough.
happen often. So I'll say, fun fact is that I'm staying at my parents' today because my dad comes home. He was in the hospital for a long time dealing with cancer stuff, and he comes home tomorrow. And I've been staying at their house in and out. Like last week, our heat went off and all this stuff. So I came here with my dog and my daughter, and we stayed here because it was just easier, and they had hot water, and I could give her a bath, which was good. But my dad coming back here means that I have to do a massive big clean because he can't be around like dog fur and compromised situations. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to fully take advantage of it and just stay here for the day by myself. No baby, no dog, no husband, nothing. I can just be on my own, and I'm having a little vacation. So I'm like, let's do my hair. Let's just like go all in. So here we are. This is why I'm also feeling teary. I don't have responsibilities today. It's nice, other than cleaning, but that's fine.
Well, that's not really a responsibility. That's just it's fine. What's this that happened last Saturday? I don't know what was last Saturday. You're on about the Millwall match? We lost against Millwall, but we don't care that we lost.
It was 1-0 though, right?
Yeah, and it's in the FA Cup. It's not in the league. It's a competition that we weren't going to win anyway. So
so that's fine.
So fuck it.
Maybe they just didn't try because they wanted to save the juice for the real stuff, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we did change 10 out of the 11 players on the pitch, so it makes me think that maybe we weren't super invested in winning that one.
Is that a lot? What's an average change?
1 or 2 for an average league match.
Okay, that's a lot then.
And being a cup match, we basically just said, let's rest everyone that's our best players, and then it's fine. Like, only Ethan Ampadu stayed, I think.
Oh, what a guy.
And even he wasn't in his normal position. Matt says, hey, hello, Matt.
Hello.
And Danny says, get well soon to your dad, which
he's doing
also
well.
Get well soon.
Yeah.
And at the moment, Dan James is looking like he's going to be the championship player of the season, which I'm very much hoping happens because he deserves it. Because he's God, I hope we get promoted.
Okay. If we are getting promoted, don't even say like the God I hope. There's no hope because right now we're absolutely slaying. We have 69 points. That's amazing. Nice. I had to bring that up because I looked it up and I was like, oh, I don't know if you've ever watched The American Office, The Office in American.
Yes.
That one, yeah. And yes. Kevin, how he is always like, nice. Like I thought of that when I saw that. I was like, nice. Yeah, sick.
But then again, like I don't know if we can do another season of just like in the league being absolutely relentless. We've scored 18 goals since we last conceded one, which is
what a stat.
Starting to feel ridiculous.
Yeah.
I say this, next Monday we play against Sunderland, who are 4th, which is a little bit spooky. And then the Monday after that, we play against Sheffield United, who are 2nd, which is equally spooky.
Can I ask?
Oh, no.
Can I ask something? Have you ever watched the documentary Sunderland Till I Die? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
How great is that? It's such a cute little document. I do really like their fans. They're very funny.
Don't. No. We're not getting back in Sunderland.
We're going to destroy them.
No.
We're going to destroy them.
There we go. Absolutely.
Shatter their hearts. I can just picture their fans. I know what they all look like, so it's perfect.
So it's all good, yeah. And for now, we hate them, but I kind of hope they get promoted.
Oh,
like in terms of teams that I want to go up and the teams that I'm not too bothered about going up, I don't want to see Burnley going up. Burnley are incredibly boring.
JJ Watt's team, yeah.
Sheffield United, I want to see not go up because it would be funny seeing how miserable Hamface would be.
I don't like that team. There's bad vibes. I don't know. I don't know much about them, but I just don't like them.
And I think of the Sheffield teams, you're more of a Wednesday person because we've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
And then
when they play on a Wednesday, it's even spicier. That's my favorite.
Oh, absolutely. And then when it comes to the playoffs, I would just take anyone that's kind of crap that we could absolutely hammer next season because that makes things a little bit easier for us. Where was I? Have you gotten around to watching the Leeds documentary?
You know what? I haven't. But I'm alone today. Can you resend that link? Because I don't know where the
I
heck
can.
it is.
I can.
Resend it, and then we'll watch it today. Because I feel like I have nothing else to watch, so that's perfect. There's none of my like. I'll admit I watch like Love Is Blind and some shit TV that I probably shouldn't watch, but it makes me feel good sometimes. But that doesn't come until Friday this week, so I have nothing. This is perfect.
So there we go. You're completely good.
Yeah.
There is 2 seasons.
Okay.
The first one is about. I'm trying to do some maths off the top of my head. First one's about 4.5 hours. The second one.
I could do that no problem today.
Absolutely. The second is 2 or 3, I think, off the top of my head, because the second one's
I literally
way
could whip
shorter.
out this whole thing in the whole day while I'm cleaning. This is perfect.
The second one's less than 2 hours.
Okay.
So it's nice and short. It's
perfect.
And the second one, I'll admit, I lived through it, and it still made me cry.
Will I cry? Do you think I'll cry? Probably. I cry over everything. I cry when I look at my dog. Like I'm like, he's not gonna be around someday. Like
there's a fairly interesting Dan James bit in there, which I think I'm not going to do spoilers about, and I'm going to insist that no one in the chat do spoilers about, because I don't know if you know the full story around Dan James, but you're going to, and you're going to be like, oh, and then you'll like Dan James even more, is what I'm hoping happens.
So I did a good, you know what? Just looking at him, I feel like I had this aura that he's just this amazing person. The way, you know what it is? And I probably have said this before, but it was when he was with that puppy and his reaction and everything. And I just saw, like, when you see how somebody is around a little puppy, you can get to know them pretty well, I think. And so I think there's just a really good human in there. So
he's got the energy of a puppy as well. He's got the same sort of vibe of, like, the first goal that we scored last night came from Dan James just sprinting onto a loose ball, and you're like, that's the most golden retriever puppy thing I've ever seen a human being do. And
does he have a golden retriever? It's a golden, right? I think, or a lab or something.
Maybe.
I want to say
it's something along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's adapting. He's becoming one with his dog. It happens.
It does. I don't know. Is that a good thing for a human being, or is it a bad thing for a human being?
It depends. Because you know what? Some dogs are absolute feral animals. So if they become like their dog, that's terrible. But I would say the dog probably became that way because their human is terrible. So really, it's not the dog's fault. But then I look at my dog. He's like just the best little thing ever, and very empathetic, and he can tell when I'm in a sad mood, and he's there with me, you know? So like, I think when you become one with your dog, as long as they have a good human, it's fine.
Yeah. I think I'm in a similar boat in terms of agreeing with you, but then I had a moment of thinking, yeah, but Arlo's a bit of a prick. But he's primarily a bit of a prick to strangers, and I can completely get that.
Yes.
Because I don't know you yet. Like, come on, we gotta do friendship. And then that's where it all works out.
Yeah.
I think, as a general gist, by the way, this lovely episode of Leeds 101 is just going to be a bit of a Q&A one, going to be a bit of a conversationally one, because I'll be completely honest with you, when it's coming to the football, there's not much to be had in terms of argument or debate or anything like that, because we're just winning. We're just doing really well. We've not conceded a goal in, how do I convert this into hours? Something like 9 or 10 hours of football now, which is getting a little bit ridiculous. And, I mean, I'm not counting.
Already,
yeah, I'm not counting the Millwall match. To be clear, the Millwall match doesn't count. That one just gone, out of the memories. Josh Gilavogi, he's just a good guy. He's not a bad footballer because that match didn't happen, so it's okay.
Can I ask you some questions? Because I feel like I've never really gotten to ask you some questions about Leeds in general, but not Leeds, like Leeds and you. So you can say, this is like 2 people I want to know. Who's your favorite player of all time, and who's your current favorite player?
Oh, that's tough. That's
you have to give me some reasoning why too.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go with players that are since I got back properly supporting Leeds, because I had a big gap where I just wasn't like hugely into football because I just wasn't. But I'm gonna go all time. I'm gonna go Rafinha, who winger now at Barcelona, was really, really good for us, and it's really, really sad that he left. Like, that's the simplest way that I can put that. But then again,
Why did he leave?
Because Barcelona came in for him. And when you're a footballer who's grown up in Brazil with a family friend being one of Barcelona's best players of all time, that's sort of the place that you want to go.
Okay.
And it felt like, because at the end of that season, he managed to keep us up and we weren't relegated with him at the squad. Hold on, got something in my eye. Ow. And at the end of that season, it was a case of if we get relegated, Barcelona could buy him from us for £20 million, which was like, cool, that's a lot of money. But if we stayed up, rather than get relegated, we could sell him for 60. So it would be so much easier for him to just say, no, okay, I'm not going to be too bothered. Screw it. I'm not going to give it my all. I'm going to make sure I'm fit and healthy, and I'm not going to risk an injury or anything like that.
Smart.
And on the final day of the season, he is one of the goal scorers that keeps us in the Premier League.
Oh,
And
that's
beyond
nice.
that, after full time, he crawled across the entire length of the pitch on his knees, specifically because he had prayed to God the night before that Leeds stayed in the Premier League. And because that was granted, he did that as like an act of penitence. And it was like, Rafinha, you're such a good dude.
Yeah, okay.
And he was only here for 2 years, but they were such a good 2 years. In terms of right now, I'm being increasingly persuaded by Dan James.
Yay!
Like, if we still had Rutter from last season, it would probably be him, but we don't. So it's going to the next person with puppy energy, and that's Dan James. And I think that's sort of got to be the pick. Our picks in the chat are that Danny's favourite of all time was Yeboah, who was just a ridiculously good footballer. And his current favourite one is Dan James, with Matt's current being Dan James and his all-time being Patrick Bamford. That's very telling of the slight drop-off of Pat Bamford. That's quite sad. Mark says, good afternoon, everyone. And Clems is all-time Norman Hunter and current Joe Rodon, which, fair enough. We do have another question before we get to your next one that you might have had in your head. You said questions plural, so I'm just sort of checking. Danny asks, are you going to be at any more games this season?
I'd love to, honestly. I feel like I'd want to be at one where it's a decider that we're going up. Do you know what I mean? Like, that would be badass. I feel like I would make a trek out there for that, because I think that's awesome. To be in the vibe of that, I would love that. Just to be, because I love watching, obviously, the games and everything. It's so exciting. But for me, the biggest thing, I love just the fan experience. I love seeing passionate people around me just enjoying what they love and being able to feel their excitement and love for the game and seeing that moment. I think that would be unmatched. I'd love to see that.
I think that would genuinely be incredible. Like, even if I can't be at that match, it would be so good to just be in the area for that.
Yes.
Because the entire city would just be like pounding. It'd be so nice.
Is there, and maybe the chat knows this too, is there an area, so if you're not at the game, now it doesn't have to be specifically a pub, but is there somewhere that people would go and watch the match that, like a lot of fans would be there to experience something like that? Or like, I don't know. I know sometimes, like, for example, when I lived in Vancouver, we had big screens outside when Canada hockey was on, and like big playoff situations for the Canucks, or when we played against the Boston Bruins and they destroyed us in the Stanley Cup. They would put up like a big watch party where people could come and be in the square. Do they do something like that for Leeds if that were to happen?
That is a really good question, because Danny's theory is outside the stadium, but I think that's not a case of you'd be watching the match. I think that's a case of you just sort of be there in the atmosphere anyway. What I think could maybe in theory happen is if you're very, very, very lucky. The club might do something like see if they can get the screen at Millennium Square or something like that. But then again, you've got an issue with TV rights and all that sort of stuff. So I imagine anyway, it would be a lot of people watching on their phones waiting for things to happen.
Okay. Still fun if you're with a big group of people.
Still very fun. I'm having a look at our fixtures and I'm just trying to see which one it would probably be.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of a good follow-up. So when in the season do you think it would be like point of no return for the other teams and like we're good, we're golden?
That absolutely depends. Because last time, I'm going to have a look at what the league table looked like.
Obviously, it depends how much we keep winning and all that. I understand that. And like the point, as long as we stay at the top kind of thing. But let's just say we continue to win and we're up at the top. When do you think that game would be, roughly?
I mean, if I'm giving me as roughly as possible, April.
Okay. That's not so far from now.
However, there are 6 matches in April.
Okay.
So it's quite hard to say.
Right.
In the 2018-19 season, 19-20, sorry, not 18-19, we were promoted by 12 points, and the match where it was confirmed, I would have to try and work out. But I don't know if I can find it.
That might be research for after. It's okay. I know I kind of threw that at you, but a rough idea around April. That's not too bad.
No, because now I need to work it out.
Oh no.
Was it Derby where it was confirmed? So that was with a couple of matches of the season left, I think. So I think it would be one of the Stoke match or the Bristol match.
Okay.
In terms of like home matches, if it's as early as Preston, we're doing pretty damn well. By that point, we'd have to be like 12, 15 points clear or something like that with 5 games left. But it would be one of Leeds Stoke or Leeds Bristol City, I think, would be the show.
Okay, and then obviously we'd rather it, like, personally, I think it'd be better if it happened at home because you get that whole vibe of the home fans and everything. But when, like, if it were at a game that's away, would there be an allotment of how many Leeds fans can go to that game, or do they just, it's free for all?
There would be a set number of tickets that we can get.
That's not fun.
Which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
However, I absolutely promise you there will be many, 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 many people just sort of heading to wherever it is on a bit of a day out because it would be quite fun. I imagine, for example, if it ended up being in Oxford would be very slightly ruined by thousands of people from Leeds by the end of the day. But yeah, that's what I'd sort of guess. I'd probably say Stoke or Preston would be the ones. Preston would be very optimistic. Stoke would be a bit more realistic. But that sort of region.
I keep getting questions in my head now. So this, I'm kind of going to compare it to the NFL because whenever we play the Los Angeles Rams, they're very close, obviously, to San Francisco. And our fan base typically takes over their stadium because their fans are just, they're not real. I don't know. They've moved around. They used to be in St. Louis. And then when they moved from St. Louis to LA, a lot of their real fans were like, no, screw this. We're not going to follow them, which fair enough. Like they sold out their team. It was kind of not fun for them. But there was like 80% of the crowd was 49ers fans when we played them there at SoFi Stadium in LA. But then there were like people online saying, hey, like, one of the quarterbacks, like his wife was like, I'll buy tickets for everybody, let's make sure nobody lets any of these Niners fans. And then Ticketmaster even did this thing where like, when you went to go purchase a ticket, if you didn't live in that area, you were not allowed to buy it. Would the same thing happen in a situation like this? Has that ever happened? Like, can they stop people from purchasing tickets?
So
that's
a lot
fun.
of
I like that.
So a lot of clubs, when Leeds go to town, will implement like ticketing policies along the lines of you need to have purchased X amount of tickets for Oxford United matches in the past, or you will need to have an Oxford postcode just for Leeds matches. Like you will need to live in the area or have like experience of buying tickets from that club just to make sure that the stadium isn't completely overtaken, because a lot of clubs in the Championship are not very good at filling their stadium.
Oh, well, that's their loss. Like,
Yeah,
I
which
mean,
means that, like, for example, for Blackburn Rovers, they know that they're not going to sell all of their tickets, so they just give an entire stand to the away side, but still make it difficult to buy tickets in the home end, because like intermingling of fans, especially given like the way that football culture has been in the past,
yeah,
is a problem. So it
right.
sort of avoids that being an issue. Ow, I guess. I fell off my own chair arm then. That was fun. But yeah, that's the general sort of way that they would go about it and make sure that it's not just all Leeds fans. Like some people would find a way around it. Like, for example, Leeds played against Fleetwood in a pre-season friendly a couple of years ago. Was it a couple of years ago or was it before that? I don't know. But I managed to get tickets in the Fleetwood end because I was like, the away tickets are going to sell out like that. So it was a case of I will just sit next to some old man Fleetwood fan and I'll be very quiet. And yes, I'll wear my Leeds shirt, but I'll wear my coat as well. And it was a very hot day, so that was a bad idea. But yeah, it turned out fine. And I was sat next to some like really old season ticket holder for Fleetwood Town. And I was like, "You're a Leeds fan, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Is that all right if I just stay a bit quiet? Yeah, go on then. And it was just quite nice. But when it's league matches and there's something that like matters at play, that's where things get a little bit more complicated.
Right.
So.
Yeah, bit more passionate fans, so it makes sense. Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I will keep an eye on things and I will try and get some idea of when promotion is or isn't going to be decided, and I'll try and let you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it would be feasible for you to get over with like 3 to 5 days notice.
No.
No, that seems fairly tricky.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and also next time I gotta make sure that I get the right hotel because I don't know what I was thinking.
You were on the wrong
An
side
hour
of
away.
the city there. That was yeah. But it all
I don't
works
know what
out
I'm
in the
doing.
end.
It was still great, honestly, but
Yeah.
a little far.
There's also probably going to be a bus tour around the city centre
What is
where
that?
Leeds. Oh, hang on.
Okay, this is exciting. I don't know what this is. I have an idea in my head, but I feel like I don't know if that's what it would be. Like literally, is it to do with Leeds or just a city tour with a bus?
Oh, it would be like if we like won the championship, they would go on a cheeky little open top bus tour around the middle of Leeds. Everyone shows up. Everyone's real happy. Good times. Good vibes.
Okay,
And,
that would be
yeah.
cool. I feel like that might be maybe worth it. It's fine. If I can't make it to a game, that could be good.
Again, it'll be a thing where it's arranged in really, really short notice.
Right.
So
okay.
it would be relatively tough to sort out, but
Yeah.
I don't know. But we could try. We could do our best, you know. And at worst, if you can't make it and it happens on a Saturday afternoon or something, you're very, very suddenly going to be hit by a lot of shifts that I can't do at very short notice. So enjoy that.
I'll take it. It's fine.
That's fine.
You can send me videos and pictures. I'll pretend like I'm there. It's fine. It's good.
That'll do it. Yeah. We'll we'll video call for 5 minutes and be like, look, it's Dan James. I can't see him. It's all pixely. I've tried. It's okay.
It's fine. And I'll yell at him. I've been following you since the beginning of the season. I knew it was your year. I believed in you.
I've been backing you from a distance.
I know. That would be fun. Oh my God. Can I just say it's really great that we're being this optimistic too? Like, doesn't it feel nice that we're talking so much of this into existence? Like, this is going to happen. I'm going to be coming to the game where they go up. I'm going to be potentially coming on this bus tour. Probably not, but talking about it is nice. You know, we're not down at the bottom of the table. I can't imagine how those fans feel. Sad.
I can imagine how they feel because we got relegated like 3 seasons ago. And you know what? They were mocking us when we went down. So it's funny when they're going to go down.
Karma, man. That's what happened.
They started it, so it's fine. Screw it. In the same way that Leicester and Ipswich and Southampton, who all went up last season in our place, are now, I'm just going to double check this with the Premier League standings. There we go. Are all now expected to get relegated.
Oh,
So we can just wave at them all the way past as they just tumble, just like bye guys, bye.
can
And
I say
hopefully we stay up.
Ipswich, they've won a Champions League before, right? I feel like I looked into this kind of thing and there was only 4 English teams that have won a Champions League title, and they were one of them.
Almost certainly not Ipswich.
No? Then maybe I'm getting confused. I
have a
feel
look.
like Ipswich was one of them.
You might be thinking of Nottingham Forest.
Okay, yeah, they were on that list too.
I am almost certain it's not Ipswich.
And it was also Man
City
or
have won one.
Yeah.
Winners of the European Cup are Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea, Nottingham Forest, Man City, and Aston Villa.
No, but not European Cup, like Champions League. Is that the same thing?
The European Cup became the Champions League.
Oh, okay. So Ipswich, no. Maybe I put them, you know what? I did a quiz. Maybe I put them as a false question. I'm getting confused.
That might be
You're my loser out of the group to try and throw people. Oh, God, sorry.
And we have been to a cup final. We didn't win it.
Oh, who did we lose to?
Bayern Munich, and we are not happy with them for it because it was a fairly suspicious win.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at
Referee
that.
stuff? Was it ref stuff? We know how that is in the NFL.
Quite a lot of controversy, shall we say. Let's have a look. Bus tour is normally a week after the season. No, okay, that should be fine. I'm trying to work out when a different charity walk thing is, and it's not then, so that's okay. It doesn't clash. We're all good. I was spooked for a minute, but we're fine now.
Gonna have to move the charity walk. Pull some strings.
It would take a lot of strings. There would be a lot of strings to be pulled. But it's fine. It's okay.
Do
it's
the
not
charity
my
walk where the bus tour would be. Then you can do.
Yeah, we'll just do laps of Leeds. That'll do it.
Yeah, that works.
Ipswich won a Euro. No, they didn't. They definitely didn't. I've just looked at it. Hold on. Are we talking about a different European Cup?
Were there multiple ones? It's a bit confusing because things changed. I was reading up on it and I got so confused. I'm like, I don't understand why there's Champions League, then European Cup, then something else. They keep changing their names. Why?
Oh, it half counts. They won the UEFA Cup, which is now the Europa League. So
okay, that's maybe where I saw it then because I was looking up UEFA stuff. So that makes a little bit more sense.
Okay, that does make more sense. The 1975 European.
That's why are they all kind of the same name?
Because branding is the only answer that I have for you. I wish I could have had more information. I just can't. The European Cup final that we lost, by the way, I'm going to read through the legacy section of it, just because I think that will phrase it a little bit better than I can. The controversy surrounding the final is still manifested in the chant, "We are champions, champions of Europe," by Leeds fans, amid a feeling that their club was cheated of victory. The luckier Bayern, on the other hand, would remain one of Europe's top clubs and go on to victory in the 1976 final, completing a hat-trick of wins. Leeds could have been on the other side of that final, but were eliminated by the eventual runners-up of Valencia. We were a bit robbed, is the nicest way of putting that. And yeah, it's not a fun one. No. But then again, it's 23 years before I was born, so it's quite hard for me to care quite as much. Would have been a nice one to have in the trophy cabinet, but it's not really my problem.
Fair, yeah.
Do we have any more questions from the you or from the chat?
Okay, yeah. Where was I? My mind was going somewhere else. I think I've asked you before what was your favorite game that you've actually been to, but I've never asked you what was your favorite game that you've just watched in general, when even just at home. Is there one that sticks out to you for a very memorable reason? Really solidified, this is why I love this team.
Oh, that's a question. There's a couple. So there is the one that is also the like in-person one, which was us versus Man United at Elland Road, and it was very much in the category of this is why I really, really like football, and it was absolutely like pounding it down. It was just ridiculous conditions.
Oh,
Ended up,
rainy.
yes. What did you think of it?
Pounding it down. I thought you meant like goals were being scored. I don't know.
They were, to be fair, because we scored 2, they scored
Okay.
4, but at the
Oh,
same time, the vibes were absolutely excellent all the way throughout it.
nice. Okay.
Also, a fairly good candidate is from a couple of seasons ago when we played Wolves, where they were 2-0 up, had a man sent off, and we ended up winning 3-2, which was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
7-0, I'll be honest, was a really, really good one very recently.
Beautiful.
That was
Yeah.
quite fun. And then the one where Rafinha ended up jumping in with the Leeds fans, which was the Brentford match that I mentioned earlier. Because
Yeah.
not only did he crawl across the pitch on his knees, but he literally jumped up to join the fans in celebration.
So was this dude like full on in Leeds, like just absolutely love the team, love the fans, everything?
Oh, he
Oh,
was
that's so.
fantastic.
It's
I
sad to
will.
lose dudes like that. It's really sad.
It is. Oh, now I'm remembering Rafinha, and I'm like, oh, he was such a good player.
Okay, I have another question. So, on the opposite end of that, is there a player that you guys were very happy to get rid of? That just was not the vibe for Leeds, that like just did not like him.
Oh, there's a few. The example I'm going to use is Weston McKennie, who currently plays for Juventus,
Okay.
which baffles me because in his time at Leeds, he had the build of the Michelin Man,
Oh.
and had the work ethic of. I can't think of an example that's bad enough. Yeah, he also took on the nickname Weston McDonald's, which is intriguing.
Why? Because was he tubby?
He wasn't built like a footballer.
Okay,
Is
that's why
the way that I
Michelin
put
Man.
that.
So it's not muscly. It's like okay, I can picture it now.
I will try and find a picture, but
Oh,
he didn't have the build. Is the nice way of putting that.
yeah.
There's a kind, well, stocky, you could say, to be nice.
Okay.
But like we signed this guy on loan to like ideally turn our season around because it wasn't going particularly well. And then from that point onwards, it was very much like, oh, so you're just kind of shit, aren't you? And then the worst bit is, if we would have managed to stay up on the last day of the season, we would have had to have bought him for £35 million.
Oh my god.
And it's like, because of this, kind of glad we went down because that saved us from all of this.
Right.
But he was more of an indicator of everything that was going wrong at that point, which was a lot of stuff. And the fact that we could just sort of go, okay, you can just leave, and none of us need to remember this at all. You just be gone. That's okay.
Nice. Go, yeah.
And that, yeah, it's bizarre how we somehow thought that he was going to be worth that much money, when in the end, nothing good came of Weston McKennie at Leeds.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah. The opposite of Rafinha is the nicest way that I can put it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and find something that gives you an idea.
I kind of bring that up because I don't know if you saw in the Niners news situation, one of our players, Deebo Samuel, who used to be one of my favorite players. He literally, like, he's been on the team. He went through 2 Super Bowl losses with us. He's given this team basically his all, except last season he was trash. He was not great. And also, like, you could say that he's been eating a lot of McDonald's because he kind of, is not in the top shape that an NFL wide receiver should be. And he just announced on the day of the Super Bowl, him and his agents, they said that he's looking for a trade. So he wants to go somewhere else. He does not want to be with the Niners anymore. And now this used to probably, like, it would have made me very upset because, again, loved him. One of my daughter's first outfits that she wore was a Deebo Samuel little chain onesie, like representing him because like I loved him. And I have no idea why, but this man blocked me on Twitter. Deebo Samuel. So he knows who I am, which is kind of cool, but he has me blocked. I'm not the type, I don't know if you see my Twitter, like I'm not the type to go after players. Like
Yeah.
I say cheeky things, but I never put players down. Like I respect the heck out of them. Like I think they're amazing people and they put a lot on the line to get out there every Sunday. But it really hurt me when I saw that he blocked me. Like I was very devastated at first. And then I'm like, you know what? He probably has his reasons. It's fine. Maybe I said something cheeky and he didn't take it the right way. I don't know. But I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, if you want to go, go. And now he did something, and this is something I want to get your opinion on. Because for the Super Bowl, they have media week leading up to the Super Bowl, obviously. And during media week, he showed up wearing a Philadelphia Eagles AJ Brown jersey. AJ Brown is one of his favorite, like his best friends. And so he was wearing that to support his brother. Mm-hmm. But that's like a big no. Like you don't, especially an NFC team, which we've played the Eagles 2 years ago and they destroyed our team. They injured all these people. Like it was a really bad situation. And like Philly fans, remember I told you they're not that great, all this stuff. And for him to show up, it was like almost a slap to the face of like all the 49ers organization, all the fans, everything. What would you feel if one of your, like the Leeds players came out and they were wearing, let's say like not Man United, but like a big rivals team, like he's buddies with a player, but he's rocking his jersey because they're playing in a championship final. Like, what would you feel in that?
I think at that point, it would be less of being like angry at them and more sort of a confused annoyance. It would be like, well, just fuck off then. Because like you don't want to be here. Stop being here.
Yeah.
And then everyone will be fine. Like I don't. It's one of those things that like just it wouldn't happen. Okay. Purely because like I don't know. It's something that I've never seen happen. A case of like a footballer just wearing another club's kit because I mean, it would be horrifically like finable within your contract and all that kind of stuff. But it's just it's.
Oh, there's fines in there. Okay, I didn't.
Oh, probably, yeah.
That's interesting.
There'll be stuff in there for like arriving to training late for like misconduct, all that kind of stuff. I know that there's been clubs that have been able to like completely cancel contracts because it's a case of like bringing like the club into disrepute kind of thing.
Okay.
So there's going to be stuff like that like baked in, but that feels like the sort of thing that would be very much sort of like, okay, there's a clause somewhere in this contract that says that's very much not okay, and you can just be somewhere else now.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was feeling. I was like, as soon as I saw it, because people were obviously they have their opinions about it. It didn't bother me at first, but then I did some thinking and I'm like, you know what? AJ Brown played college ball. He could have shown up to Super Bowl week wearing AJ Brown's college football jersey instead, but he chose violence by wearing the Philadelphia Eagles exactly. And in that moment, I was like, you know what? I think he doesn't want to be here anymore. Like I have this weird feeling. You don't just show up wearing an NFC rivals team's jersey, even if it's your best friend in the whole freaking world, even if, he's the godfather of your son. Like you don't do that. That's a big no. So I'm like, as soon as that happened, I just had this, I thought to myself, he's not going to be there next season. And lo and behold, he requested a trade. So I'm at the point where I'm like, go. And I loved him. I really loved him. Take away the blocking. Because like, let's say he didn't block me. I'd still feel this way. I'd still feel like this is very disrespectful to your fan base. Like if you want to go, go, but you don't need to leave on that kind of term. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
it's just not good.
The way that I've always looked at it is people that leave whatever sporting organization that they're part of on those sort of negative terms, surely that's an ego thing, right?
Yeah.
Because at no point have I ever like left a job or anything and gone like, yeah, and fuck you guys, and I'm going to do everything I can to disrespect you. Like I didn't stop working at Sainsbury's by wearing an Asda shirt or anything like that. It's like, no, I just went. I went on my way because you know what? You don't know whether or not you're going to need those people at some point in the future.
Exactly.
So don't burn your bridges. No. But it feels like footballers are quite good at burning bridges to get what they want to happen, both footballers in the European sense and the American sense.
Oh, yeah. For sure. We've seen like the off season is always an interesting time for NFL because like there's all these crazy things that happen and players are going this way and that way. And then you hear about all this drama that maybe you didn't see during the season. And like I love the off season because of this kind of stuff. But then I don't know, man. You look at some of the players that are doing it right, and they don't cause a scene and they don't leave on bad terms. And it's just like, well, this is why these players are respected a lot more than maybe some of these other guys, right?
Yeah, like for me, like Rafinha is the example of leaving on the right terms, and I've been looking for this in the background. But I mentioned he was like celebrating with the fans in the crowd, and like you
Yeah.
don't get much more like wholesome and backing the club than this. Like,
Is that
come on,
him? Oh my
yeah, it's
god.
great.
Oh my god. I was gonna say he looks like he's a fan. Like you
Yeah.
see fans doing this where they take their shirts off and do the twirly thing. Like that literally looked like a fan. Oh, when they just become so one with the team, like such a family member of that team and the organization and the fans, it's so beautiful. I
Yeah,
don't know. That's what you want.
that's as direct opposite to people forcing a move as you can possibly get.
Yeah.
And it's just so nice. It's nice and it's wholesome.
Okay, but then it does make it easier when those players that are kind of dickheads when they do leave, and like when they don't represent the team so well, it does make it easier when they leave. Like a Rafinha, I'd be devastated when you see something like that. He's doing that and then he's gone. Like I'd be like, well, why? Like it hurts more. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
It does, but at the same time, it's maybe a sign that like them leaving on good terms, having done good things, is what makes it such a good time, right? Because if they did something bad on the way out, and every player that you liked did something bad on the way out, then like looking back on them, every single person you'd be like, well, yeah, but they did that, which would sort of sour that even further. So I think it's on balance a good thing. It's in the same way that this season we sold Jorginho Ritter to Brighton, and the very day that he was sold, he was picked for our team for a League Cup match. And he could have very easily said, no, I don't want to ruin this transfer, so I'm going to like not play today. But he ended up still being part of the squad and he still came on off the bench and he still ended up playing for us. And it was like, no, you know what? This is a thing that I can absolutely back because you are better than another season in the Championship. And you making the choice to play that match is a sign that, like, even as far as you possibly can, you're still giving what you can. Like, no one, like, sane would have said, no, actually, I insist that you play tonight because you're still contracted here. And it's like, well, he did everything he could last season to take us up, and it didn't work. But he still did his best, and he still actually showed up, even when he'd agreed to move to somewhere else. So I think that helps the legacy in a way.
Yeah.
So you know that they were doing what they could all the way to the end, rather than they were doing what they could and then something more interesting came along. So sack that off. Let's just go somewhere else. Right. And you know that they are still at least a bit invested in the club rather than just my career is what matters here.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. Okay. Follow-up question, because now like I'm just going down a path now. So in the NFL, there are a lot of players that have been drafted by a team and then their whole entire career is with that same team. Does that happen often in this football? I feel like they all move around so much. Do we have any?
It used to happen more. Yeah. But with more money being in football and with like the clubs that have been in the Premier League and stayed in the Premier League having significantly more money and access to a higher level of football, if you've got a player that is really, really good, it gets really, really hard to keep them. And if you are a club that is in, let's use Ipswich as an example. They were in League One 2 seasons ago, which is the league below the Championship. And then, and then they got promoted to the Championship, and then they got promoted to the Premier League. And if you are one of those players that's with them in League One, it's quite hard to say, no, I am of Premier League standard, because 2 years ago you definitely weren't.
Right.
So in that case, it becomes a case of, well, maybe the club wants to move you on. So in both cases, you're going to get factors that mean you either have to go because you're not good enough anymore, or you have to go because you're too good. And I
Okay.
think that's a sort of fundamental difference with NFL stuff,
Right.
because in the NFL, there's no promotion, there's no relegation. If you're still the same player that you were 2 seasons ago, then you can still compete. And the only time that you're going to get like dropped is if you have a big drop off in talent, or if you want to move somewhere,
Yeah.
or if this team doesn't want you anymore. So there's not talent based movement, I guess, is the way that I'm trying to phrase it.
Right.
If that makes some sense, I hope
Yeah.
that makes some sense.
That makes sense. I just say, because like the way you're talking about Rafinha, like I think of George Kittle, and I never want him to leave the 49ers, and I hope that he stays with the 49ers until he never wears a jersey again. You know what I mean? Like I want him to be a 49er forever, retire with the 49ers, because he's just like, he's our Rafinha. Like I don't want him to go. He's amazing too. He's one of the top tight ends in the NFL. So like it is nice that once you have a contract in the NFL, like you're stuck with that team unless obviously something goes really wrong, kind of thing. But yeah, we need to re-sign him this offseason. I think he's up for an extension pretty quick. It's either this year or the next year. And we probably need to either adjust his contract or extend him a bit, or like fully re-sign him for another however many years. And I'm like selfishly hoping he signs until he doesn't play anymore.
Yeah. I think on the Rafinha thing, I think his transfer to Leeds and who he replaced is the perfect sort of example. Because previously in his position, we played a guy called Helder Costa, who got us promoted from the Championship. Brilliant, fine, that's all good. And then when we got to the Premier League, we had the opportunity to sign Rafinha. So that sort of became, well, he's a lot better than Helder Costa. And that was a case of Helder Costa eventually got phased out of our team and left because he just wasn't good enough, which is a sign of someone that is sort of left behind by their team. But then with Rafinha, it's the inverse. It's our first season up, we looked really, really good. Second season, we looked bad. And at that point, he had Barcelona coming for him because he was a player that was better than we were. And it became a case of, well, obviously he's going to move because the team of his dreams is coming in for him. They're playing in the Champions League every single season. We can't be part of that conversation because we're just not good enough at the moment. And that's where he moved past. Is like, at the minute, there is a genuine shout for Rafinha getting like the Ballon d'Or, the award for being the best player on the planet.
Wow.
Because he's putting in ridiculous numbers over in the Liga and in the Champions League. And I genuinely think if Barcelona win the Champions League, there's a good chance that he wins that. And that's not the sort of player that you can keep at Leeds because he's beyond that sort of level. So that's the sort of, you've got to match the level of the player and the level of the club. And that's why when we get promoted this summer, you'll see a lot of turnover. Like Sam Byram, who is currently one of our like third or fourth choice fullbacks. I don't think he sticks around in the Premier League because his contract expires in the summer. Is he good enough to play for us in the Premier League? I don't know. So I don't know if we extend that or not.
Okay.
But that's where it gets a little bit complicated, and we'll need to sign a lot of new players because our current team is not of the Premier League level at the minute. I mean, it might be,
right,
but we won't take that risk, which is, I think, the main point.
That's fair. Yeah.
As Pete's put it, if you match the level of the club, it can happen. As soon as there's a perceived mismatch in levels, there we go, there'll be a parting of the ways. So it's about promotion, it's about relegation, it's about players improving, and it's the opposite of improving. Degrading, I guess.
Yeah.
But that sounds like it's like an
I know what you mean.
term. Yeah. But it's that sort of stuff that means that a player can end up having to move because they're not going to play football at the level that they're at the moment.
Would we lose Dan James if we go up? When we go up?
Don't think so.
Okay.
I think at the moment a lot of our squad is lower Premier League level.
Okay.
So the likes of, I've got the squad list in front of me, so I'm going to read through them and think who probably starts. Rodon, I think, stays and starts. Bogle probably stays and starts. Aronson is a bit more of a question mark, but I genuinely think he's good and important enough to do that. Strauch will stay and ideally start. Tanaka's in the same boat. Piru's a little bit of a question mark. Dan James, I think, stays. Nonto is one of the questions because he's very young and of a decent level. But at the same time, he's not done tons for us this season. So
question mark.
We'll see. Yeah. I think the only one that I think is of a level that is maybe we don't keep them because of their level is maybe Manor Solomon, but that's because we don't own him anyway.
Okay.
But because we're a team that's getting promoted and will have a lot more money in the Premier League, we're not sort of a financial need to sell. It's more of a talent-based need to sell.
Right.
Are they good enough? No. Okay, we can sell them. There's a couple on the Football Manager streams that very few people that are in this stream right now watch. Please start watching them more often, so it gives me justification to do them. On those, I've just gotten promoted, and I'm currently sort of sifting through players and thinking, do I need you or and it's harsh, but it's about getting the club to survive, and that's and one of the big Leeds mottos is side before self, and in that case, you got to put the side before the individuals, which is what's really important. We do need to extend Dan James' contract, though. That's a very good point. Let's do that very, very soon. You'd know it if you were in the FM streams, Dr. Cox. But that was the general gist with sort of players going around and if they want to, if they don't want to.
How do contract extensions work?
It's just between club and player.
Okay.
So there's no involvement from the league. Well, I guess you sort of register the contract with the league, but they don't interfere in it. And it's typically between 3 to 5 years. Wages are behind closed doors because, again, it's kind of weird to know how much people are earning unless it's leaked by either the club or the agent or it's discovered by a journalist.
That's interesting because they announce everything when it comes to NFL players. They've signed this extension, 50 million a year, whatever. They always announce everything. Nothing is behind closed doors. But I guess it has to do with the fact that the player's getting that money, not the organization.
Yeah. So the contract length is open to the public. That will be announced by the clubs. It's more the money side of it that isn't covered because
I kind of like that.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Because it feels a bit weird to me that you would sort of be able to look down your entire club and see who's earning what per week, and it's sort of well, that's a little bit. I feel like I shouldn't know how much money you're earning every week. That's a little bit dodgy. Let's not do that.
It also puts a lot of pressure on that player because okay, this guy's getting paid $60 million a year. This quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, and yet he's not able to even get to the playoffs. Why are we paying him this much? This is ridiculous,
It puts a lot of sort of unfair pressure on various people, which I think is a good thing that we managed to avoid. But we are coming up to having done an hour. So I'm going to take us over to one of our favourite places. We'll do... Would you rather do 1, 2, or 3 questions from Questions Corner?
Okay, let's do 2 and potentially a third if we didn't get a really good question.
I like your thinking.
Yeah.
We'll hop over to Questions Corner. If you've got any questions, chuck them in the chat and we'll cover 2 or 3 depending on the quality of the questions.
Okay, I'm not throwing shade at you guys, by the way. I mean more
Nope, Crystal hates you.
No, because sometimes there's questions that we can easily answer, and then there's other ones that kind of give a little bit more, and I like those give a little bit more questions. I'm not a yes or no kind of question girl. I like open-ended questions. This is what I learned in journalism school. You ask open-ended questions so then you get better quotes back, So
I preferred phrasing it as you hate them, but I guess that's not going to happen.
I don't hate anyone.
The first question, this is one of those quick answer ones. What's your favorite cookie?
Cookie
or biscuit?
Okay.
Cookie or biscuit?
I'm kind of basic when it comes to cookies. I really love just an oatmeal chocolate chip, a very soft, yummy oatmeal chocolate chip. I know, super basic, but I love it.
I think I'm going to go with a custard cream. It's good stuff.
That's a cookie?
Custard cream.
That's not a donut? Okay.
It's a biscuit, yeah.
That sounds delicious. What the
heck it's great.
Am I having, man?
it's biscuit, a bit of creamy stuff. Biscuit. It's like an Oreo, but the OG and better.
Okay. Yes. Okay. That sounds good. Then I really also they have these little maple leaf. They look like maple leaves. And then inside is a maple cream. And then, little Oreo style, but they're, so good. So good. That's very Canadian of me to say that. I know.
I have just gotten a message from Kayla, who's in the next room and presumably can hear me, to say wrong. Because she doesn't typically back my custard cream shout. I'm gonna say this one loud so she can hear it. I'm going to give her the opportunity to come into the room, stand slightly off camera if she wants, and have an argument about this. But it's up to you.
I want to know her favorite cookie now.
I believe it's a chocolate bourbon,
Okay,
or at least
that
that's
sounds
definitely
delicious.
in there. Hello.
Do you bite your thumb at me, sir?
Stand in range of the mic, please.
I just don't think how
I don't know if that's audible, by the way. Is that
Yeah,
audible?
it is.
how
Okay.
can you think custard creams are the best biscuit? They're bland.
They're not bland.
They are
Get
bland.
out.
You've got bourbons right there. It's the same
The
thing. but
shade, I love
chocolate.
it.
But I don't like chocolate as much as you like chocolate.
Well, that's just another flaw of yours, then, isn't it?
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is why like my favorite chocolates are like. I got the other day one of the 38p chocolate bars from Lidl
I
because
know.
I was like, that'll do.
I know, because you like Milka.
Yeah, just bad
I
chocolate
just-
is the best chocolate.
They're bad to dunk. They're bad to eat by themselves.
Bad to eat by themselves.
They are.
No.
Yeah,
What you do?
actually, that's a very good point. The cookie has to be good on its own.
It is good on its own. You
Shouldn't
take
need to
off
be
your
dunked.
You take off your top biscuit, you scrape off the custard creamy bit with your teeth, you eat the two biscuits.
See, I do
The
that.
biscuit parts are too crunchy, maybe. I don't know. I kind of see where she's going with this. It might be a good dunker.
I might be losing this argument right now.
The shape of it, fine. But I just think the flavour, there's not much there. I think flavour wise you need the chocolatiness.
I think you do.
You do. Otherwise you might as well just go on like a piece of cardboard.
Are you arguing with me on a matter of flavour when the spiciest thing that you've eaten in the last week was a jacket potato?
Right.
Everyone
One
in
of
the
us
chat is saying
got
you're getting
tummy ache
cooked
for
right
3
now. This
days
is so
eating
funny.
a KFC and it wasn't me.
Yeah, but shut up.
I think wifey wins this one. Oh, the white flags. They're too dry. Everyone's saying you're getting cooked right now. This is so funny.
I know, I see it. I see it.
Oh,
Anyway, we've got 2 more questions.
that's
What's your
great.
favourite dinosaur and why?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Dinosaurs. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm not really a dinosaur person, but my daughter's very into dinosaurs all of a sudden. She's just discovered them and she loves them. I bought her this little book that has stickers with them and she's been putting them everywhere. And there's this show that we watch, Gabby's Dollhouse, and there's a little dinosaur and he's this little you guys are gonna come for me, but he's a little spongy dinosaur, so they call him Spongysaurus, and he's my favorite. I also like T-Rexes because they're just badass. They got little arms and they always make little puns with them or little Valentine cards with them. And it's like, I love them. How do they fix a bed? Like,
They just don't.
yeah. So T-Rex and Spongysaurus, that's my answer.
I'm going to go with a velociraptor.
Ooh.
I quite like their vibe. They're not the big bulky boys. They're just quick. They're nippy. They get in. They get out. Easy. Bosh.
They're a little
That's-
scary though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Those guys like in Jurassic Park, those guys freak me out the most, I think.
But that's the point. A dinosaur's meant to be spooky.
True.
Technically, Dodo, probably a dinosaur. But no one's picking a dodo as their favourite dinosaur.
True.
Fun fact for you, the dodos died out in the 1600s and only went extinct because we hunted them to extinction.
That's sad. So there could have been dodos around right now.
Yeah, in theory.
People suck.
Yeah. We'll do the third question because that's a depressing note to end on. Never mind. I don't know if you would particularly know this one. What's the main difference between English football and the MLS?
One of them is spoken with an accent and one of them is not.
Yeah, ours
don't know.
isn't spoken with an accent.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't follow the MLS very heavily. Like I lived in Vancouver, obviously. I went to Whitecaps games quite a bit. Yeah, quite a few times. Like when I was growing up, my dad loved them. But it seems very similar to me from what I remember being at the games. Like I don't think I know a difference. Yeah.
If you want a serious answer, it will be promotion and relegation.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Actually, it's so boring, the MLS, that they don't go up or down, that they're just there. That I do
There's-
enjoy the relegation part because it's fun. Like, okay, So my husband's a huge Venezia fan, and they're probably going to get relegated back down. And last year he was there when they got relegated, or not relegated, when they went up, they got promoted to Serie A, and it was very exciting. He was literally on the field celebrating with the players. He has videos of the coach. It was great. And now this year it's like they're going to go back down. So I said to him, I'm like, are you going to be at the game when they go back down? Because that's kind of full circle. That's fun. Yeah, no, it's exciting. I like the fact that like there's that scariness of like anything could happen, you know?
I've just had a look at Venezia's last 5 games of the season, and you might want to. Can I send condolences already?
Yeah,
Because
they're done. They're
the
not going.
final 5 games, they've got AC Milan, Torino, Fiorentina, Cagliari. They can beat Cagliari,
Yeah,
and then Juventus on the last day of the season.
yeah, they're done. Like
Yeah,
they're absolutely done.
They
And
go.
it's funny,
That's-
Torino, that's their old coach. He went to go coach at Torino, and they're doing pretty well, right? Yeah. So I think he was he's the reason they got brought up, and then yeah, they're gonna go back down. Venice is a beautiful place, and like at least it's really nice to go there and watch games, and you get to be around that historical culture of what Venice is, and go on a gondola and do all these fun things. But their soccer team is trash. Oh, poor guy.
The poor dudes. But then again, at least they're not at the bottom. That's Monza. But they've got the Formula One, so
Yeah,
Monza,
that's better.
Venice. I'm leaning towards Monza.
We're repping our guy. I went to Monza. I've been to Monza for an F1 race. That was fun.
I don't know if I'd want to do Monza just because I feel like my not loving Ferrari that much would get me killed.
The Italians are very passionate about Ferrari. Yeah.
Whereas at Silverstone, I felt completely fine being not that arsed about Lewis Hamilton winning. And yeah, there was, admittedly, it hammered it down.
Yeah.
But it was fine. It was all good.
Are you going to go to a race this year? Are you planning to go anywhere?
I don't think so.
No.
Just because it's not the cheapest to Silverstone.
No, it's expensive. We were looking and we're like, okay, where's the cheapest one? Like Austria's not so bad.
I think Budapest is one of the better ones, I think.
Yeah. There's certain places I don't really care to go, and I feel like Budapest is maybe one of those, but yeah, I don't know. The Red Bull Ring, that one, if you do camping there instead, it's actually not that bad, so that could be fun. I like camping. I grew up camping all the time. Have you ever been camping?
I've been.
Okay, sorry.
Have I ever been camping?
My husband, when I first started dating him, he's like, I've never been camping. This guy, he went on cruises his whole life. So never been camping. The first time he ever went camping was with me. So this is a question that I needed to ask because some people haven't been camping.
I have been many camping. When I was but a young child,
Joe.
I did not simply go camping. No. I was in the Scouts, and I got an award for camping in every single month of the year over a 2-year time period.
Every month. Oh boy, that's cold.
Yeah.
Some of the months.
February, for example, we had to dig a 6-inch pit to put our tents in because it was snowing that hard.
A grave. You dug a grave.
Yeah, we dug a grave. Yeah, and eventually got out of it, but that explains my cold, dead soul.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh man.
There was another one as well. It was like a survival-y camp thing where they didn't give us tents. They just gave us some tarpaulins, and we're like, build a shelter. You've got the thinnest sleeping bags available.
Yeah.
Enjoy. And we ended up eating I think rabbit, worm, and maggot.
Oh my god.
At various points. I'd like to make the note, maggot. It's like a meaty popcorn, really tasty.
No,
it'll surprise you, but it's real tasty.
No, I couldn't do it. That's like a Fear Factor episode, man. I honestly, I used to watch that show growing up. Joe Rogan, he's turned crazy now, but like back then he was pretty good. And I every time they showed because I'm terrified of heights, but if I had to choose between like being put into a thing with like snakes or like eating some gnarly, disgusting thing like bugs or like bull testicles, they used to do that. Ugh. Like, there's no way. Put me up on a friggin' suspended car, 200,000 feet up. I don't even care. I will never eat that kind of stuff. If I had to survive, I think I'd just die. I don't know. Like,
I'd like to know
they were like looking at food. No.
I'd like to know they were cleaned and cooked.
Okay.
So it was more okay.
I don't know, man.
Okay. That's
You're
fine.
not gonna sway me just like the way your wife cooked you on that. You're not. No, you're losing this argument.
How dare I was not cooked in the custard cream discussion.
This is why
I
he
was
likes
not.
these custard cookies, is because he's eating maggots. So that's the comparison there, guys. Everything's gonna taste better than that.
You're acting like custard creams are bad. The custard creams are
I've
great.
never had it, so I actually can't say.
Don't.
But I'll order some.
Every
Anyways,
time I come here, I feel abused on my
No.
own stream.
you're not abused.
Okay, that's fine.
We still love you. This is just how we are with people we love. It's fine.
Am I not abused, or are you currently in the process of gaslighting me? It's somewhere on that spectrum, and we just don't know
Right
where
in
yet.
there. Maybe in the middle.
But with that, I think that's probably a good point to end the stream. So, thanks for popping on, as always. If you are not currently subscribed, head over to Crystal's channel. It's in the title, so you can just click on that and it'll link you over. I know I keep on losing, but you got to keep trying, otherwise you're never going to win.
Yeah.
Like the stream if you enjoyed it. That's always much appreciated. Subscribe if you're not yet. You could even become a channel member. You get videos like a day early. It's quite nice. Sometimes it depends on the videos and like when I've recorded and stuff. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. Toodaloo.